And Councilor Thorne, your identification forms.
Dear Lord, thank you for this wonderful day. Be with each counselor here to make good decisions, and also the administration brings forward policies, procedures, business, and be with us to make the right decision for our people. Please watch over our troops overseas and around the country, and be with their families. Also, dear Heavenly Father, we pray this in your name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Roll call, please.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Kara Callan Watts. Ahani. Joel England.
Here.
Bill John Baker.
Here.
Harley Buzzard.
Here.
Julia Coates. Bradley Cobb.
On.
Joe Crittenden.
Here.
Jody Fishinghawk. Here. Meredith Fraley. Yes. Janelle Fulbright. Here. Don Garvin. Chuck Hoskin Jr. Hannah Glory Jordan.
Present.
Curtis Snell.
Here.
Chris Soap.
Here.
David Thornton. We do have a quorum.
We do have a quorum. I'd entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes of the January 27th regular session. Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Next we have our reports. The financial report from our treasurer, Ms. Catcher. Oh.
Okay, no, I was just going to introduce a new county commissioner that come over here and watched our hearing. Keith Davis is on the north end in Adair County, and he's Adair County's new commissioner, one of them.
We appreciate your being with us today. Okay.
Good afternoon, Council. You have my written report, and I was in the back of the room during rules, so I understand there are lots of questions regarding what's going on with the federal budget. And as Pat reported, we do have a team that's working on that. We've had contingency plans on the shelves for years. We're dusting those off. If the feds were to shut down, I feel pretty confident that we could continue on at least for a limited amount of time. We're fortunate enough that on our compacts, we're forward funding, so we've got money in the bank. A federal shutdown is an issue of cash flow. Our bigger concern is what's going to be the impact of federal cuts, and we've started taking a pencil to those numbers. The problem is those numbers keep changing. The Washington office sent us a briefing on Obama's budget. It's anywhere from 7 to 23% on different agencies. There's recommendations for programs to be eliminated altogether. We're crunching those numbers. We're trying to get a reasonable feeling for what the impact could be to us on our federal funding, but it's anybody's guess at this time. Our biggest thing is to make sure that we're planning for that. In anticipation of those cuts, we're already looking at cost-cutting measures. Review all travel. Is it absolutely necessary? Review any spending that you can pull back on. As part of this team that's working on this project, our first concern is making sure continuity of services to the citizens. Want to make sure the health clinics are open. Want to make sure that we continue to be able to give scholarships and all those great things that we do for the Cherokee citizens. So I don't have a lot of concrete answers today, but I hope to have a better report in a couple of weeks, and I will certainly share that with council when we have a better feel. I mean, it's anywhere from $2 million to $30 million, but who knows? Because we do get a large part of our funding from the federal government.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Catcher? Or keep us informed, please.
Thank you. I certainly will.
Next is Cherokee Nation Businesses. Mr. Stewart.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You have the financial report. I know you run a little late, so I'd like to focus on some of the projects and some of the events with, the Blizzard and Casino 3, and update you on the projects and give you a chance to ask, any particular questions you might have. The collapse of Casino 3 has been kind of taken over by the insurance company itself. To remove all the debris, and we're actually going to end up with a piece of dirt when it's all said and done so that we can rebuild. So we're going to go through the analysis and propose to the board a plan that would correct some of the inefficient traffic patterns and try to improve the overall property when we go back to it. The insurance proceeds will replace a like-kind building, what was in there. So I'll just keep you updated on that. We haven't presented anything to the board. And no final design yet. So without going into any detail about that, that's where that is. The Sprung is now open. I think we opened it. When did we open that? Monday. And of course there was a line waiting, and so everybody was ready for that to happen. We're going to put about 200 more games in the casino at different spots. We moved the poker room up to the second floor conferencing space. So it would stay going, and we're going to put about 150 games up on that second floor, and then 50 more games throughout the property so that we can try to get our game count back up. Business is really good. I think the road is, we're seeing results of that, but, with the collapse of Casino 3, we're still under kind of a state of construction down there. So anyway, all is well. The insurance coverage is going fine. We have forensic accountants to help us with the business interruption. We actually have coverage for that. So we're on top of that and working with them regularly to make sure we maximize our reimbursement. Ramona, Fort Gibson, Tahlequah are all in different stages. Ramona is probably farther along than any, so that we can get that up and running and get the bigger casino open. Fort Gibson, we still have to bring business cases to the board, so we'll keep you posted, but the board has authorized design for all of those properties, so the design phase is continuing, and we're going to expect to get started within the next 90 or 120 days on those, so that's going well. Tahlequah is still, we're doing some site planning on that to figure out exactly what that's going to look like. We understand that with the new location, it can be a little more of a hub for the nation and provide some other opportunities to have different amenities there. So we really haven't finalized that, but we know we're going to at least build back what we had at the other property. And Sean, what is the turnover dates that you?
We're still working on that.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to turn that over and rebuild it somewhat to put it for a school, so that when we do turn it over, then it'll be ready to go. But we can't turn it over until we get the other one designed, built, and approved. So we have a little bit of process to go through. The Blizzard obviously will have a significant negative financial impact across all of our properties for those 3 or 4 days. So I'll keep you apprised of that, what we really think that's going to be, but it's going to hurt February significantly. We have a strategy session that is Sunday at 3 to 6 and then continues Monday morning, where we'll talk about ways to increase Cherokee employment through some training programs and actually get down to the nuts and bolts of some of those things, and also talk about our expansion strategy in gaming and also our diversification strategy. So if you'd like to go to that, we'd love to have you. The board meeting will start at noon. And it will be an abbreviated meeting, but we have some things to get approved. So we're going to try to get that done Monday afternoon and be through by mid 2 or 3 o'clock. So that's the report. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Councilor Connell.
You may not know the exact figures, but right now Ramona's at 96 as far as employees. When that facility is completed, what is that number looking to be pushed to?
I think it's going to be 50 to 60, maybe 70.
Yeah. Thank you.
Councilor Sutton.
Yeah, Dave, what's the frequency or the length of terms on the agreement for the insurance? Is that an annual renewal, or is that, do you do?
I believe it's annual, yes. We look at it every year, change terms and whatever's the best thing to do.
Councilor Watts.
You're going to answer my questions listed?
Yes, I have the answers in writing, and what I'm going to do is follow the process with the chief, give those to chief, they'll get back to here according to that process, but I do have them complete.
Okay, and I don't, I'm not opposed to that, but, so I was trying to give preparation time for committee meeting questions, which is, I thought, normal. And then it shouldn't be like a formal, because it was around the report that was given. So first of all, the request was that in that detailed report on employment breakout and other things be moved to committee.
Right.
Because we anticipate, or I anticipate I will have questions, guessing other council member might have questions. Full council is not necessarily appropriate to ask those questions around the report. So this would be normal, but I was trying to be
Right.
much more cognizant of your time.
Right.
And that I anticipated these were the questions so that we could answer them here in committee and have a discussion.
Well, I have some of the easy ones, if you want to take the time. Some of them are just process and administrative
If we
clarifications.
could get a flavor for what I'm going to formally get, I would appreciate that, because
Okay.
we're more than likely still going to come back to committee. So,
How would you like to?
is that okay, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Thank you.
So should I just take those one by one and respond? Is that what?
Yeah,
okay.
or I have them here in front of me and I can ask too, so.
Let's see if I have the question wrong.
The first question, besides moving the report here, is 45% Cherokee seems like a significant drop. So why has it dropped, and what are your plans for increasing the numbers? Because over time, we've seen it stayed at relatively 50 to 55% for Cherokee Nation citizenship, and then suddenly it just drops in like a month or two. So
The reason for that is we're only reporting Cherokee citizens with a blue card. So if we look at September 09, October 09 percentages, we're at 60% CDIB plus Cherokee citizen blue card percentages. So what we did is we changed the report at the request of council, I think, to only report blue card. So
if they, may I?
Yes.
So if they only have a white card, they don't get citizenship preference because they're not citizens.
Correct.
yeah, that's correct.
So do we explain that then to the employee and give them the form?
Yeah, we're on a campaign to get blue cards.
Okay, very good. Very good. That's what I want to hear.
That's part of the process to get that percentage back.
Okay.
Yeah, so in fact, I have the questions. I'll just go through them. There are some that will be sensitive, and I will respond through the chief.
That's
but
fine.
I'll just tell you what those are.
Fair enough.
So that difference is about the difference between what you're talking about, the difference in the blue card versus the previously reported CDIB card.
Okay.
So that's in response. There wasn't a change in the people. It was just a change in the reporting, and that's why it went right down. So we're in the process to get
Okay.
that blue card.
And I appreciate hearing that.
Hearing what?
Just the explanation. So one of the things that,
Oh, you mean hearing what we're telling?
because there was no
Cherokees or-
explanation on the report. I mean, all of a sudden there was just this drop. There was no notation on the report.
Okay, well, that's what the reason is.
Okay.
So, number two, I think I'll defer. Exit interviews, we do exit interviews, and I will.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
You're deferring to what question?
She sent a request for different items.
But he would like-
Defer. What is the question?
Oh, the question is 30 out of 96 new hires for Cherokee. What were the 66 jobs by title and description which were not filled with Cherokees? Please provide the list. So I have the list right here, but I'm going to follow process.
Okay.
Okay. Are we doing exit interviews? If so, what are the summary results
Right.
of why so many?
Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
Would you yield to
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Councilman Jordan?
I would just ask if it would be possible that we receive all the answers to your questions, because you had posed an excellent question. And I would like to see that response.
Sure, it'll be official back to council for everybody's. I think the way we do that, we get that back to
Yes.
Gail and it's available.
Yes.
The exit interview response. The questions really don't get down to why the Cherokees left, so we're going to change that process and some of the questions. So I'll detail that outline a little more in the response. Okay.
And just to help you, these are not to pick apart a report.
No, I
or those
understand.
things.
That's fine.
I mean, the intention is, are we building into our system and our day-to-day operations of how we do business to truly understand what is happening with our dynamics of Cherokee preference and hiring and promotions and employment?
Right.
And that's what I'm challenged with.
Yeah, for
Since
example.
there's no notes about why things change or what happens.
Right, so the exit interview process, we're going to change the questions so we can get more specific about to
That is
address that.
excellent.
So
Thank you.
that response will include some of that. Question number 4 is your definition of Cherokee consistently Cherokee Nation citizens with blue cards on each item. So I just explained that, the answer to that.
So that is yes then.
Yes, it is. I think it's yes, yeah.
Can we ask the
Yes.
question and confirm to make sure?
Is your definition of Cherokee consistently Cherokee? Yes, it is now, since we changed it.
Okay. And thus the difference in
Right.
numbers. Okay.
Question 5, what positions do the top 3 levels of the org chart include? Does this include board members? The top 3 levels reflects any management employee who is within 2 levels of me.
So it does not include board members?
Does not include board members.
Okay. Thank you very much.
What level is director level? Does director include the board members? Director level is the level between senior managers and vice president in the organization chart. Director level does not reflect board members. The board members are not included in any employee counts at all because they are not employees.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Question 7, I'll respond officially with the chief.
Would you?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. What are Catoosa, Ramona, and WRD's plans to bring up their Cherokee Nation employment? And so what we have, as a result of the strategy session, we've worked with the chief staff and our staff, and we're going to we have a kind of a target list of things that we're going to implement. It's about 16 different things, attendance policy, some different things that we think are going to be a little more, they're not going to be changed without keeping our standards high, because we still have to have customer service levels, but in some cases, attendance policy might not reflect a life issue, just a quality of life issue. So we're going to change, that's just an example. So we have a list of those things that we'll get to you. Please write out the names of each business under C&B on future reports and include their website URL. We will do that. And I have a list for you that I can give you. How does your recycling plan compare to the Act requirements? What are your internal goals and are you meeting them? Okay, personally I haven't read the Act, so I'm going to rely on some of my committee members to answer this. We created an internal green team in March of 2008. They launched an intranet site to obtain information from all of our employees in terms of what kind of recycling materials we would have, which I believe that was in advance of the legislation. The legislation passed in 09 or 10? 9? Okay, so in advance of that, we kind of could see it coming, so we started the team. In October 08, we selected Cherokee Recycling as a recycling vendor. We launched a 3-month pilot program for recycling at Cherokee Casino in the back-of-house areas. included paper, confidential paper, and lock boxes, glass, plastic bottles, aluminum, and cardboard. In April '09, we expanded to all locations, but it did not include C and B. And then in April '09, the Cherokee Nation, you passed the Reduce, Reuse, Recycle Act. We continue to increase the recycling volume. I have a report that will be sent in that has the tonnages,
Okay.
so you'll get that. And we're seeing those volumes continue to increase, so the program's actually working. Currently recycling paper, steel, glass, aluminum, plastic, cardboard, electronics, batteries, light bulbs, printer cartridges, and cell phone batteries.
So just to clarify, that means that if a computer goes out, it is recycled. None of those metals are going into landfill. That's exciting. Thank
Right.
you.
Right. We're looking to expand the program to all of the entities because we've gone through, an acquisition process. So, you just can't start that overnight. So, but that's on the drawing board. So we'll get that done. And I have a comment here. It's hard to measure the percentage of what we're doing. So we're going to look at that and just see. We're doing what is, I guess, reasonably effective right now to get all of that recycling done. So we're going to look at what percentage that is. Yes.
And if we need to somehow amend the legislation at this point, after we've had time for implementation to consider, then I need to know what
Okay.
those are to consider. But I definitely would assume that a lot of our daily consumables that we could estimate by the volume of purchasing.
Yeah, we can do that.
The impact.
I just haven't done it yet, so
Okay.
we'll do that for sure.
Thank you.
And I believe the cost is right around $300,000 for us to do this. So that's the last question I have. Let's see, 9.
That's all I have
Okay.
as well. Thank you so
And
much.
I'll get the rest of
I
those.
appreciate the candor.
Councilor Thorne.
I've got just a couple of questions.
Okay.
Due to the snow and the falling in of the roof and the area that we lost over there, have we laid off any employees? And how about our revenue? Is
The
it-
revenue is covered under business interruption insurance, and to my knowledge, we haven't laid off any employee. I don't know, Sean, we have not laid off any employees.
Good. That's what I was
Yeah.
wanting to know. Thank you.
Right.
Councilor Jordan.
I'd just like to clarify the position of the Office of the Chief, and we have a normal process of clearing all information that's going to the council or any place else the best we can, being the large organization that we have. If there's any indication, I don't want anybody to think that we're not trying to inhibit witnesses before this council from responding to questions, but when we get detailed questions from the council, a lot of those things interlock with other organizations within the administration. The chief rarely gets involved in that. I mean, my office and several other staff, along with program directors in the county, when we get a detailed question about information that the council wants to see, we do a lot of consulting to make sure that the whole story is going out at the same time. And there's no more intention on clearing the office of the chief. It's usually my office and several other offices that are involved in vetting that information back out. And we do our very best when we get a question from the council to get those answers back to you as quickly as possible.
Councilor Thorne, do you have a follow-up?
Mr. Ramsdale?
Yes, sir.
In that act for receiving information,
The
we've
Government
got
Records
a
Act.
6-work day
Yes, sir.
on that act. And after that 6-work day, if we don't receive that information, we're not getting anything back from you at all.
Well, then
So
that's-
we need to,
Yeah.
you need to 6 days say, hey, we can't get this one, we're doing this and that, and we'll have it back, okay?
The act specifically, in fact, I had some involvement in that act.
But we haven't gotten it.
I made it too tough on us. But, we are required, and we will try to do better. Depends upon the nature of the question. I was dealing with one today. I was talking to the person that was compiling the information, and they said, well, I'm compiling the information. I said, that's not enough. I need to get back to the council and say, we need another week. Can we have a request for an extension? And the council's been very good about
Well, I
doing that.
appreciate you stepping in this last week and sending them another note on the questions that I asked.
Yeah.
We still haven't gotten it, but I'm thank you for that.
Okay, we'll try to
Text
double
that
up
you-
our
that you
efforts,
said.
but I mean, we just receive what we get, and
Yeah, I
and we
understand.
try to get it back out to you as soon as it comes in. And some of the stuff does overlap that we want to make sure that
Make sure
that
it matches the
matches
question.
up with what we're doing, so that the executive branch is talking in one voice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Jordan.
both.
Yes, David, on the one question where Counselor Watts had asked you to identify the jobs where the non-Cherokees were hired, I didn't catch whether the additional response asked for was how many Cherokee citizens applied for each of the jobs that the non-Cherokee was hired for. Is that part of your...
No, it was not.
Would you be able to give us that information too?
Sure.
Of how many Cherokee citizens applied for that job? And I guess the next logical question is, why did you not hire the Cherokee? If you could
I will
just-
look into it.
If you could just give us that additional information,
I'll do it.
if that would be,
Sure. No, that's appropriate.
thank you very much.
Councilor Pigeon-Rock.
Thanks ever so much. I understand why Patton, the administration would get involved in some of the requests from the government side, but I'm curious about why they're going through you all for the business, since you all say hands-off business.
Well, it's a business entity of the Cherokee, excuse me, it's a business entity of the Cherokee Nation, and we are as concerned as council members are about employment. In fact, David already reported we're working with them on trying to trying to increase employment of Cherokees within the business entity.
I think from my perspective, it's more of a quality control issue for the executive branch. If we just send out reports without some review, then they kind of lose control. I can see from their point of view why they would want to see it. It's not a filtering process. It's more of to make sure we're answering all the questions appropriately and responsibly. So that's kind of what we've been told.
Well, David, I assure you, if you wasn't answering my questions appropriately, I'd pick up the phone and call you.
Right.
The administration does see complaints from entities, clients, employees of the enterprise, and those land on the chief's desk, and so that's another reason that we like to know what information is being provided and those kinds of things.
Okay.
Councilor Watts.
Thank you. Two things. So I understand too that because the numbers, I understand that they are taken at different points in time, which is why numbers vary. There's like 3 different places that numbers are reported for CNE and CNB Cherokee employment, for example. And so there's an internal team working to consolidate one report that'll be sent to committee so that we know it's one point in time and there's not the variation which creates question.
Right.
And it's incorrect.
Right.
Not the report, but the question's
Yeah, just
incorrect.
how it flows. Right.
Okay. So the other thing is, since that's going to be confidential information, I'm curious about this little snapshot of this 96 new hires, of not what they got hired in at, what's their salary range for those positions too. I'm curious on that too, because I hear all sorts of rumors and I want to see what the facts are. So, or there's perceptions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I was going to say, I don't know, David, it was a year or 2 ago, I asked all these same questions, basically she's actually, it's just a snapshot. Britt Thompson sent something and I can get her copy of it. It goes from the very lowest paid all the way up to the highest. It breaks it down by Cherokee, other tribes, non-Native American, and then I think I even also asked that it be broken down into males, females, males, because I was wanting to see if there's anything on there, and it goes all the way up to, how far? doesn't quite include, it don't include you, because once we got there so high, it was easy to.
Right.
But if anybody'd like a copy of it, I'm sure we can make copies of it. It's in a book.
Okay.
And it's broken down by pay grade, pain range, medium, max, min, and the title of the job. I mean, it's several pages long. But I thought it was very interesting to look at.
Thank you.
I would like a copy. Thank you.
Okay. You may have Gail to make a copy for all the council members. Okay. Any further questions of Mr. Stewart? Okay. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Next is Career Services and Employment. Ms. Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Exciting times in the Cherokee Nation. For us it is. Some of the stuff that you were asking Mr. Stewart back there, I was sitting there and I was thinking, wait till I get up there, I can help you. He said that we are actually partnering with them, and we are. I told Sean this last week when I saw him in Catoosa, I said, you need to put me on your payroll. I said, I think I've been meeting with more of your people than I have on the government side the last 2 weeks. But like I said, it is real exciting times. David has brought his people to the table, and we're meeting with them, and we're working on this Cherokee Citizens Pipeline work group to look at some of those positions that they have open at the various businesses and see how our programs that we have here, where we're getting a pipeline of people coming in, a lot of tribal members, and seeing how we can get them to those locations to get their foot in the door for some of those jobs. We're looking at the day work training program. We're also looking at our on-the-job training program and how they can interweave in with some of these businesses. We're prohibited in working in some of the gaming with the OJT and golf courses and swimming pools and so on and so forth, but some of the day work, if we can get some things worked out, and we're working on it right now, hopefully within the next weeks to come, we can do a pilot at the facility there in Catoosa. One of the problems that we have on our end, though, is that if you open that door and you start getting an influx of people like we got here in Tahlequah, we don't have the staff to deal with that many people. So we're going to have to pull from our Bonita office, our Pryor office, and our J and our Tahlequah office to go work that office, because if that's where the jobs are going to be, then we're going to get that influx of people. So we're going to have to stagger some of our people at different days to work in those capacities where those jobs are actually at within the Cherokee Nation. We are moving some people around. We have put Daryl Legg, who is our vocational manager, over the OJT coordination. And Daryl Legg's one of these people that he can sell anything, and he's been working at it for 2 weeks, and he has already got us 5 contracts. And he just emailed me a while ago while I was sitting back there. We placed 7 people at the AERT plant in northern Adair County. Swan's called today. He's meeting with them next week. There is a new business in Roland that he is meeting with. We're also, Cheryl Adams, who works out of our Claremore office, she, Michelle Schaefer and Salisaw, we've got them at 2 different locations. They're the job developers. They have a surplus of applications that we have delivered, and we've been on conference calls with Department of Labor. And in fact, Brenda Fitzgerald got the brownie points today on the conference call because we have more contracts in place than the state of Oklahoma. So, you know, the staff are out there working it, and hopefully in the weeks to come we can show you some results as a result of it. Our day work training program, hopefully we'll be able to pilot this. Vivian Phillips at CNE is working with us to identify specific careers at the Cherokee businesses that we can actually use for this pipeline to filter our Cherokee citizens over there to get their foot in the door. We're going to have some testimonials from some of the people who have actually come through the day work training program that can tell you that they were over here applying for jobs and jobs and jobs, but when they came in through the day work program, we placed them. People were able to see their work ethics, and as a result of it, they actually got on some of the panels and have been hired. The track record within the Cherokee Nation is great compared to anybody else in terms of the people that have been hired. And like I told a group yesterday, don't think of the day work program like people that are coming out of being incarcerated or people who don't have a high school education. We're getting them from all levels. We're getting them from people that have had their own business, to displaced homemakers, to people with college education but do not have experience. And we are getting them at all different levels. And so there's jobs out there, IT jobs. 2 IT jobs have been hired through our day work training program. So I'm just sharing that with you because we're getting ready to branch off with the business enterprise side, and hopefully we'll be able to help with some of those numbers that you were talking about as far as the Cherokee citizens. And I appreciate the coordination that's going on right now with them. It's a long time in coming.
I have several questions.
Okay.
So how are we going to achieve equity among the counties for, I mean, I hear part of that. Is that part of your goals? Like, so in Rogers and Tulsa County, Washington and stuff, there's very few of these positions, or have been.
That is correct.
To the port. So you're working to increase those, is what I'm hearing, through those steps that you've just talked about?
What we're doing right now is with C&E opening the doors for us to work with them, we're having to look where those businesses are located. And unfortunately, we don't have businesses in all the 14 counties. But we do have services in the 14 counties. And what we're doing within Career Services is that there's 5 counties in the 14 counties that are predominantly the counties that we drive those federal dollars into, because those 5 counties, just about anybody that walks in that door is going to meet those thresholds and the qualifications on those income guidelines. When you get into the northern counties, they don't. So that's where we're going to try to use our tribal dollars in those northern counties so that it's kind of an equal playing field. But it's going to be hard for us to do that when we're piloting some of this stuff, and you're going to have to bear with us because I know you guys have election coming up and you're going to expect us to jump through hoops and be able to administer in all your counties. Well, we're not going to be able to do it. Number one, we just don't have the manpower like we have here in Tahlequah. So we're going to be moving people out different days of the week to help with those. We don't know how many people are going to show up when we open that door at Claremore. We're hoping to do 2 weeks out where we can do life skills training and work keys testing so that when we refer those people over to the businesses, they already have some good skills going into those jobs, and then that pipeline will keep growing. We don't know exactly if we'll have 200 people show up, and if we don't have enough staff, we'll be moving more staff up there. But it may hurt the staff, what we're doing down here. The other is the resources. We don't know exactly how much resources we're going to need. So, like I said, we're going to pilot it, and we'll be able to give you some results. But right now, we're still in the talking stages, and they're going to identify those various careers. We've still got to go through our hoops with Jamie Hummingbird, the Gaming Commission, and they're going to identify which areas we may be able to place people in.
That's what we finished.
And so, can you, on your next report, can you add, like, if the success rate where there's 131 of 259, I guess, have gotten these salaried positions or whatever else I'm trying, can we get the average income maybe that they're receiving, or range of incomes or something? And then I guess, and I think it would be good to have a financial impact statement on what the savings to the tribe is that they're off of any services we provide, because that's very powerful wherever we head. And then, because I know we're in a hurry, so, and then what are some of the things that are stopping their 100% success, like retention, retainage, like, or why are they not getting jobs in the first place? And then if you could just keep a list of those somewhere that kind of helps bring that to our forefront of our minds.
I think one of the things that we've talked about in some of our work groups is the amount of time that it takes from the time you make your application for a job until you actually get called for an interview. And I know that there is a group that is working on that as far as the timelines. And then you also have those youth sensitive areas where you have to do some background checks. So there's some factors that's driving that length of time, and then sometimes we lose good candidates as a result of that timeline.
And I can get these in writing, so that I have 3 more. What is the budget needed if 200 per week are needed? If there's a need, a demonstrated need, if there's 200 per week, what would that budget look like, including federal funds that could offset it? I mean, what's the reality, budget reality? Because I think your report alludes to the idea that there's as much as 200 people a week. Then what's the number of chronic unfilled positions across the tribe that we should be matching them with? I mean, what does that look like for existing budget monies? And then in the report, it was odd because there was a number of people that had been on it excessive amounts of time. So if we're short funds and we're rationing for some folks, I didn't understand why we had some folks that were chronically on it.
Okay, they're not actually
So-
chronically on it. The length of time, Jeff Vance has extended their amount of time if they're in the pipeline to be picked up. They have been interviewed, and it's likely that they're probably going to be picked up, but there's a timeline in getting them in the system. So we have extended their length of time until they actually get hired.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Speaker Fred.
It's admirable how you're coordinating with our businesses. Do you also coordinate with other businesses? For instance, are there 77 businesses in Mid-America Park?
Oh, yes, we do. We do. But not to the degree that we do with our okay. External businesses have been excellent for us. In fact, they've been better for us than they have internally. And I applaud David for bringing everybody together and us working on this, and the chief bringing all of us together, because it's kind of long overdue. And we should have been doing this a lot, many years ago. But we didn't have a lot to offer to the businesses until day work training came along, and we didn't have this OJT NEG. So there's some factors when you've got revenue and federal dollars coming in off of some grants, then you've got something out there just like your tax credit that you didn't have several years ago.
We're not just talking skill level, there's other
Yes.
factors.
Yes, ma'am. And then we've also added some teachers to do our life skills training, which is like a week-long training. We've got work keys testing, which is a certification testing, and we've got the certified people to do that. So we didn't have that like a year ago. So there's some things that we're adding as we go along.
Councilor Sutton.
Yeah, that, what's preventing you from partnering with a temp service?
We do that right now.
Yeah, but I mean, it sounds like that you're trying to do a lot of this work, and you're mobilizing resources that are entrenched in other areas, and it sounds like they should be there. But what's preventing you from, for the temp service, their routine is pretty routine. I mean, that's what they do, and they're efficient at it. And so, what's preventing us from doing that?
We do that in some areas very well. In other areas, we don't. We don't go in and say, we're here, we can do this for you. They have a contract with most of these businesses, and they're getting paid off of someone's salary when they work so much.
Right.
And when they run short, they're calling my counselors and saying, do you have anybody that can do this? And sometimes we do. We go to the job bank, and we'll give them a list of people that they can contact. And then they call us back and let us know whether or not they got picked up on the jobs.
Yeah, but their personnel, their service is actually what I'm asking, not their, not going through their personnel or their job full bank, but the people that are doing this quite a bit. I mean, they've got skills, and maybe they've got enough in their resources to allocate people to work with you for 5 days while you're having this review process and processing all these people that are going to show up. Is that something you consider?
Yeah, but most of your temp services, they have a population like in West Salem Springs. They have a lot of Hispanics. They don't just market
I'm really not talking
to
about
Cherokee citizens.
I'm not talking about us tapping into their work pool. I'm talking about us utilizing their expertise in reviewing the applicants that we would be funneling to them. But if you're falling short on personnel, how come you don't contract those positions out?
Because I don't have the resources. I'm already paying a salary, and I may not have the. Can I use an example? Don't get mad at me, Chuck. In Bonita, I've got a counselor whose caseload is not as heavy as it is down here in Tahlequah or over here in Sallisaw. But there is a need for that person to be there a certain percentage of the time. So what I'll do is I'll pull a percentage of that time over here to this one office where I've got a traffic flow.
Right.
And
So
I've still
you're
got
saying that's
coverage.
really normal then? It's not like you're really pulling resources out. That's normal because you have allocations over here, then you'll have to allocate them over here.
Yeah, I mean,
So
from
that's-
one program to the next, I don't know whether we're going to get a lot of people. Right now, my OJT program is in about 2 or 3 counties, and that's because most of the people that qualify for that program are sitting in that category that qualifies them for long-term unemployment.
Right.
And that's one of
again,
the
I'm not
criteria for
talking
being in
about
it.
The employee pool that you pull from. I'm talking about utilizing the expertise of those services and them being able to assist the nation through contract or whatever.
Chris,
for
in
a
most
short
of those
period of
temp
time.
services, you've got a one-man band. You're very fortunate if they have 2 people that can work in there. And they've got contracts already with businesses, and they don't have the time to do what you're asking because they've already got to supply. For instance, Flintco or a company contracts with a temp service. Well, they open up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and Flintco may say, well, Cherokee didn't show up this morning, and Harley Buzzard didn't either, and I need some laborers.
Right.
And so they've got to deliver laborers by 8 o'clock when they blow that whistle. So they've got the contract with that company, and that's what they're juggling as people. And if they can't deliver there, they're calling us about 9 or 10 o'clock and saying, we can't, can you send us somebody in the morning?
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Hostin.
Thanks for letting me use
Thank
you
you,
as
Mr.
an
Chairman.
example.
I don't think I had any permission in that one.
Do you work with any of the labor unions, particularly in the construction industry, and could you send a Cherokee Nation citizen through the apprentice school of one of the construction industry labor unions? And
The Taro staff do work with the labor unions on the construction piece of it up in the Tulsa area. John?
can you send somebody through an apprentice school where there might be fees involved using any of the federal dollars we have for career services purposes? And somebody might go to VOTEC to learn a skill, but they could go down to the union hall and learn a similar skill. Is that possible?
I think we've done that.
Okay, that's good. And I just wondered if that's something that is made available to the people that come through your doors if they're...
Our Taro staff, I mean, we interact with a lot of entities out there, the temp services. We don't interact with every one of them in the 14 counties, but there's certain ones that we work with very well, and others, they don't need us.
Councilor Watts.
Just for the record, I've been asking these questions consistently throughout my term. I just, whatever this is about, attention to the northern counties is always a concern, and not just for Rogers.
And rightfully
or just
so.
Rogers and Tulsa. So.
If I was sitting up there in Rogers County, I'd be asking the same questions.
Very good. That's why I never get any pushback from you when I consistently ask about these things every month.
Well, we're doing our best. My staff are not real enthused about traveling to those other locations, but they'll do what I tell them to do, and they do it well.
And that would again be why we need to hire folks from our own communities or our offices. I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just saying.
But what you got to understand
So we
is,
appreciate the ones we have, but we would like more.
yeah, but our federal dollars are the demographics where we get the federal dollars are in certain counties. And that's what drives where some of these people are actually sitting. Because we didn't actually start venturing off up into those northern counties till we got revenue coming in off of our businesses. And we still don't have the traffic for the federal end of it in those northern counties to meet the criteria for those federal dollars that we're getting.
Because my people can't afford the gas.
We're going to work on that. We're going to work on that. We've got 2 resource fairs coming up in West Siloam Springs and Catoosa, March the 10th and April the 7th. And we're going to address some of the transportation needs. Katz and Pelvan will be there to talk about the Ride to Work program for those people that want to transport. So, yeah, we're working on it.
Do we have any other questions for Ms. Kelly?
Thank you all.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for letting me use you as an example.
Thanks, Diane.
I
Next
have a
is,
question over.
oh, Excuse me, Diane.
I did
there
have
is-
quickly, I know I talked to you and Michael Lynn about the roads and everything,
Oh, what?
and it goes today.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was supposed to report on this, I forgot. Community development, the roads department, and our department through, I want to say, Jody had this brilliant idea about meeting with her new county commissioners, and when we talked about it, we decided that not only should we be doing it there in Adair County, but we need to be doing it in all of our 14 counties, so that we don't run into the same roadblock that we got there in Adair County for about 3 years. In most of all of our counties, we have about 2 new county commissioners, and one of the things that we're trying to do is with some of our road money, where there is industry in those areas, we want to make sure that those industries that are getting these roads are looking to us to help hire some of our tribal members. So with the new districting, there's been some questions about how will that district filter into the formula, and how will that work with how you're going to do these agreements. So with that, we're setting up meetings on March the 24th, which is on a Thursday in West Siloam Springs, for districts 1, 2, and 3 on the new formula, and then, the new districting, and then on Friday, March the 25th, there will be one in Catoosa for districts 4 and 5, and we're inviting the county commissioners and their secretaries from the county to come up, and the chief's going to talk a little bit about the districting and how that's going to work now, and then Michael is going to talk about the IRR and the cooperative agreements with the counties and the tribal dollars, and then we're going to talk about the economic development piece of it and talk about the citizenship hiring pipeline. And David Stewart has been very nice and congenial about hosting these for us and providing the lunch for those county commissioners. So invitations will be going out, and you all will get invitations for your area so that you can meet your new county commissioners, and then they can meet you as well.
And before we pass the road in Adair County today that Joe and I, you, Michael's been working on, is everything in place? Because Michael had said, ask Diane to make sure that it's in the agreement and they understand. And so I guess it's
It was my understanding from talking with, him, was that you all had worked with the county commissioners to get that $400,000 moved over there for that industrial road. And Al Drinkwater was here last Friday with his personnel team, and Daryl Logan went up there Monday, and they are working. They got about 7 people hired there. So we're working with them right now. As they expand, then they'll be working through us to help get people hired. And they're planning to do a dedication on that road, and then they're also planning to do an open house that had been put on the back burner because they were trying to get Clinton. But if that doesn't happen, they're going to move forward to try to do something in April. And Fassett has moved into their building. They're also looking at doing something also.
So it's, you're fine without going, and then we can pass it today with no.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm sure that's why Keith's here too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Diane. Next is Commerce and Anaya.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I have, I was asked in the Community Services meeting for guidelines for commercial loans and a more detailed listing of what commercial loans we're making. So I do have those for you guys today. You may have questions on the loan guidelines. I tend to overdo things. So what you have is a copy of the credit memorandum that we send to the loan committee with everything that they evaluate when they're looking at the loan. On the last page is a loan rating sheet, and we use that basically for loan loss reserve on commercial loans, not for approval. Other than that, you have a copy of my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Are there any questions for Ann? None?
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it, Ed. Okay. Next, we'll move to our consent items. And the first item is our Taro's certifications. Second. And I believe that there is an amendment to that.
Yes, there is, Mr. Chair. Back in, it was the October committee meeting. I believe it was Councilwoman Fishing Hawk asked whether or not one of the Indian owners on Advanced Work Zone was the same owners, and it was pulled, and we sent Larry Vance out, and he interviewed the Native American owner, and she answered all of our questions and provided us with documents that ensure that she is in control of the business. All decisions of the company are finalized through her, and she is active in the day-to-day operations of the organization as well. And that was taken back through the Terrell office, and we sent it through Diana Turtle, but we probably, because it was brought up here, and that's what I was explaining to John before we missed the boat, and I think it was about the time I was in the hospital, so it didn't get brought back, and we caught it. Now we're bringing it back. Nobody's complained about it, but we did catch our own error, and we just need to have it added back in and approved, and we'll put it in a box for next month's list that comes through, but we need it approved today.
Okay, will that be, you made the motion to approve, Counselor Watts. Do you accept
Yes.
the addition of that?
Yes.
And your second? Okay. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Second is a cemetery restoration assistance application.
Move for the approval.
Do I hear a second? Is there a second for the?
Second.
Any discussion? Because there's one in Mays County, one in Delaware County, one in Muskogee County.
Are we sure we have
So
turkeys?
all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. This is law enforcement requests, and there were none this month. And next is our roads, which is the back of our consent items, your tab. And I believe we have 2 in Adair County.
Move for their approval.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So the roads been approved. There's no old business. Under new business, we have our budget mod 5, and
Move for approval.
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Do I hear more ayes? Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Are there any announcements?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
You're like, I gotta get out.
Wake up.
Okay.
Yeah.